going to be another short AD&D Toolkit video tutorial. It's on surprise and how it's calculated using the module for both first edition and second edition AD&D. So there's a lot of factors that go into determining surprise for both the adventuring party and their adversaries. They're different in first and second edition. One of the major differences can be how in first edition a party or the adversary can be surprised from multiple segments, which translates into multiple rounds, that the surprising party can act and the surprised party cannot. So it's a big deal. It can have a big impact on play in AD&D. I've found over the years a lot of DMs have difficulty remembering and understanding all the different facets of surprise, how it's calculated, adjustments made to it, how that impacts the distance that the two parties notice each other from. And so usually a simpler or somehow bastardized version of surprise is often used by DMs. The system is really good for both editions, I tend to think. If you can get past the difficulty. So I prefer to use Toolkit for you. It just has a variety of select menus and checkboxes you need to fill in. Most of them are pre-calculated by Toolkit. For instance, this party here has either a ranger or, we have a monk in here, a higher level monk. So when you do, they have increased perception and can pick up on signs of surprise better than the average. 2 and 6 usually indicates surprise in first edition, so a 1 or a 2 on a d6. But if you do have one of these classes that can detect enemies better, most notably the ranger, in this case it's a monk, they can improve the chances that the party will not be surprised. So this party, having a high-level monk, only has a 1 in 6 instead of the default 2 in 6 chance of being surprised, and that was automatically calculated and pre-populated in the select menu for you. So the ranger is the only one explicitly in first edition noted as being able to do that, lend that extra perception to the party. But there is a generalized most favorable member rule noted. I believe it's in the DMG, not the PHB. But what it says by and large is that the member of the party who has the most favorable chance of decreasing this chance of being surprised will apply it to the party. So Toolkit lends classes like Monk's ability to do that, Barbarians if you're using UA on Earth Arcana. It'll apply their bonus too, but these are manually editable select menus that if you don't wish to play that way, you can override it, put it back to 2 and 6. It's up to you, but the calculations are done that way. The rolls likewise. These are randomized d6 rolls for the enemy and for the party, just to speed things up for the DM. But if you or your players want to do your own rolling, by all means you can do that and edit these values here. It's not a problem. And then there's just a few checklists. What kind of terrain are you in? Is it a forest or scrubs and shrubbery? That terrain factor will determine or adjust the initial distance that parties notice each other from. If you're in wide open plains, they'll notice each other from a larger distance, whereas if you're in a forest, it'll be a shorter distance where they notice each other. Notable noise or light that either party is making will factor into surprise, and location will also factor into the distance, whether it's an indoor or outdoor scenario. And once you have your rolls and adjustments noted here. I'm actually going to put the party at 1, which would indicate surprise for them, just to show you how this works. And once you click calculate, you'll see everything is automatically done for you. This party was indoor, and the level of surprise factored into the distance modification. And so this is a really short distance, only 10 yards there that they notice each other from. Or actually, if this is indoors, it would be feet. So they just came right upon each other, and the party is surprised for 1 segment. If we were to go down into the campaign's general settings here and switch this over to 2nd edition, you'll see that the module changes quite a bit to support that. There's different adjustments, different die rolls. In 2E, we use the D10. 1, 2, or 3 indicates surprise. In 2E, you have some other conditions down here. And these adjustments are applied post-submission, meaning after you click the calculate button. These adjustments are applied to the rolls. So for instance, the enemy here rolled an 8, but it's quite possible that some of these factors, like if the enemy is fleeing, that's going to make them more reckless, more likely to be surprised. Panicked would do the same. So it's quite possible this 8 could be reduced down to a 3, which would therefore have them be surprised even though they got such a high roll. And something else I just wanted to point out was that, where is that? Well, let's stick with these checkboxes down here. Some of these, for instance, the enemy fleeing or being panicked, those will apply to the enemy's roll, whereas something like if the enemy is invisible, if this was to be checked, this is actually factored into the party's roll. The reason being it's the enemy who's invisible, which gives them a bonus chance to surprise the party, because they can't see them. So this, I believe, is a -2, the enemy being invisible, and that -2 would be applied to the party roll, which really wouldn't have an impact here. But if the party roll was a 5, and the enemy is invisible, which is a -2, that brings the party roll down to a 3, which indicates the party is surprised by that enemy. So again, this can be complicated concepts, especially for our beginner DM. But Toolkit does all of this for you. It automates it, makes it much easier. One of the many reasons why I find Toolkit to be great for newer DMs, where you don't have a broad or deep understanding of the rules and guidelines. Toolkit can be a crutch for you. It can help you do those calculations and employ systems that otherwise might take you a long time to start using because you just don't really understand them yet, not comfortable with them yet, don't know where in the various guides to find information on them on the fly. So when you're running a campaign or an adventure, and if you forget where to find that information, you might just gloss over it during play so that you don't slow things down. So Toolkit can be great for new DMs, keep you on track. And one other thing I just want to point out, and this applies both to 1st edition and 2nd edition surprise, these 4 select menus, party surprised, enemies surprised, or their chances to surprise others, you generally, unless you really have a good understanding of how surprise works, I would leave these alone. Let Toolkit calculate them for you and just leave them be. In 2nd edition, they're always going to be 3 and 10 because adjustments, as I said, apply to the rolls. And to the best of my understanding, there isn't anything that would affect these values per group. They can individually, like there's some racial adjustments, but not for the group, and that's what the calculator does. In 1E, these values can be adjusted, and again, I would just leave that up to Toolkit to do for you unless you really know what you're doing. But if you do, then you can always override them. I hope that was helpful. We will actually just calculate this just to show you the results, and they are very similar to 1st edition, but they're calculated very differently. So again, yeah, I hope that was helpful, and looking forward to doing more videos.